Hey, everybody.
Welcome.
Let's do a crescendo, ready? Welcome. To the Chill Spot Podcast. Are we singers?
I mean, you are against musical intros. But seeing as it's the last one before hiatus, why not go out the way we always come in?
I'm against musical intros for 10 podcasts in a row, that's all. When every single one is, welcome to the Chill Spot Podcast.
It's fun and poppy and great, and it's implemented in millions of intros forever, so suck it.
What can I say?
It's the way it goes.
But you probably heard what Sam just said there, guys. No, listen, you guys have probably seen our posts on social media. We're going to hear more about this at the end of the podcast, but episode 115, this episode you're listening to right now, is going to be the last episode of the Chill Spot Podcast for a little while.
The Chill Spot Codcast.
Codcast.
We'll be starting the Chill Spot Basscast.
Exactly.
Temporarily.
Be sure to be on the lookout for...
To be followed by the Chill Spot Pikecast. Shortly followed by the Chill Spot Swordfish Cast.
And right to the bitter end. Still can't get a joke out.
Still into the Chill Spot Trout Cast. Mm-hmm. Not to be eclipsed by the Chill Spot Salmon Cast.
We are actually going to start a full fishing podcast soon, so be sure to look out for that. But no, in real life, we do have plenty more things in the pipeline. So be sure to keep your subscription there. And, you know, this probably won't even be the last time you see a podcast on this channel.
Keep it up. No.
You know?
No.
There'll be other shit on the way.
Yeah. It's just like, the thing that I realized about chat casts, which I think I, passed on to you, is that chat casts are for famous people.
We're not famous.
Famous people that people want to hear talk about stuff and things just ad nauseum. Mm-hmm. You kind of have to be somebody, and we're not somebody yet. So we got to work on being somebody.
But once we're somebody,
we'll
be back in your ear.
It's back here, right back here.
But we'll talk about that more at the end of this podcast.
Yeah.
Well, how was your week, Sam?
My week has been good. It's been productive. I've did some.
You did some? I did some dim sum.
You did some dim sum. No, I got some stuff done. It was really hard. I was very tired at the end of all of the days, but I was happy that I pushed through, and it was a lesson in pushing through. And I'm happy for it.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah. How was your week?
My week was also good, actually. I have been failing some goals, passing some goals. So, take it as I can, right? Yeah. I've just been, as we're getting towards the end of all this, just focusing on stability more, general life stability. Yeah. We have a big goal that we want to reach next year. So I'm really putting all my eggs in that basket, or more eggs in that basket, as a matter of fact. And like anyone at home who's done any kind of restructuring in their life, they understand that, that comes with growing pains, and sometimes that's the way it is.
Well, that's sort of the thing, right? Is that, we also learned here at Chill Spot that we were trying to do lots of things, 7 things, and we were doing those 7 things not so great.
Well, I mean, I don't agree with that.
If we could focus on, doing, 2 or 3 things really, really great, then it would be better for us as humans, as Cameron and Sam, and also us as small production company business owners, as Sam and Cam. Yeah. So, I mean,
I just want to say that I'm not, there is literally nothing on this channel that I'm not proud of. Every single video that we have uploaded has made it through my filter of, I'm happy that it's up there.
True. But, promoting it, trying to get it out there, trying to tell people what the heck we are exactly.
Yeah, that was a big thing for a while.
It was just getting a little convoluted. So we just needed to focus in, and the realization that only famous people do chat casts was a big factor in paring down what we do. Mm-hmm. So no, I'm just really excited for the future. I mean, do you mind if I say this? We want to focus on I mentioned that we want to be more of a production company, so we want to focus on making films and shows, web series and stuff too. And not the end of podcasts, but just more focused podcasts, do a podcast about something with a focused topic.
And it'd be 3 episodes or something. I'm not against, my favorite term in entertainment is miniseries.
Yes.
There's nothing that gets my balls wetter than a miniseries. Because I love the idea of something that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And then I don't have to worry about whether or not there's going to be more.
Yeah.
Or anything that comes before it. Go on. No, please continue.
No.
You wanted to talk. You wanted to talk, so you continue.
Nope. You were talking about how you like something that's focused and has a definite ending, and I would like you to continue that point, please.
I was just gonna finish saying that, like, I just love things that are completed little packages. You know, not everything. I feel like in the post MCU world we live in, everyone believes that something needs to have this like massive overarching thing to be successful, and like I don't even mean that from a story sense. I just feel like everything needs to be bigger than life nowadays. And there's nothing I appreciate more than something that is self-contained. Mm-hmm. Just like it is what it is. Here's a focused podcast about dogs. Yeah. It's 8 episodes. We talk about 8 different breeds of dogs. It's funny. We enjoy it. Dogcast. There's 8 episodes. You want more? That's too fucking bad, isn't it? You should listen to the fucking first episode again.
Well, it would just be nice if we want to talk about the history of dogs up until this point. I'm only interested in this era of dogs. So that's all we're talking about. If you want the like breeder era of dogs, if you want the PetSmart era of dogs, let's go to another podcast.
Yeah.
This is only like Chinese dynasty dogs.
Totally.
That's it.
Totally.
That's all we're focusing on.
Yeah.
That end of discussion.
Because I feel like you and I, and we'll get to what we're talking about in a second, which will be, you've probably seen the title of the episode. You and I definitely think we're big on like growth. That's what ChillSpot has always been about. You and I growing as artists.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this is the natural part of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've reached a peak, and then we're at the next end of this arc, and then the ChillSpot time skip arc is happening now.
Exactly.
And we're gonna come back with sick powers and like beat the shit out of the bad guys that have been kicking the crap out of us the whole time.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
We'll have new designs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great.
We'll have new designs, new outfits.
Yes, exactly.
New uniforms.
Yeah, but they'll be reminiscent of our old outfits.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? They'll have the same like general spirit.
There'll be like one little like pin that's like a reference to the old uniforms.
Definitely.
Or you never watched Luke Cage, did you?
I never did, no.
Okay, so there's Power Man, and then there's Luke Cage. Power Man, I mean, they're the same thing, but then like eventually as like the comics went on, it just kind of became Luke Cage. But Power Man had like a yellow t-shirt, like muscle shirt with like blue jeans and like the silver headband, like the silver headband on top. So like in the beginning of Luke Cage, like Mike Coulter's Luke Cage, they tell the origin story, and he like breaks out of the like laboratory that's doing tests on him, and he like rips off the metal, like he's wearing the metal bandana around his head
with the band,
and he like tears it off and throws it out and like breaks out of the laboratory and like crawls and like winds up in Harlem and starts being Luke Cage. But it's just like a thing to explain why he has the powers that he has, and like that's what ChillSpot is gonna be. Like Definitely. We're gonna like have like a teeny tiny little detail where it's like, oh my god, that's the classic ChillSpot, blah 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 blah. We'll have like this flamingo light, and then like we'll just like fucking knock it off.
Yeah, well, exactly. You'll come back and like there'll be like a real flamingo there.
Yeah.
And a real cactus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll just like hang out in the background. Because we'll be that rich.
Exactly.
We will be Tiger King was never that rich, really.
No, he lied about most. Carol Baskins.
Carol Baskins is rich.
If you really want to be Carol Baskins. That's bad for me. That's bad news for me.
Yeah.
Are you going to feed me to flamingos? You know, beat me to death with a cactus and feed me to flamingos.
I mean, I have a meat grinder downstairs, and you can trace it for DNA if you want, but you won't find anything.
That's a really, like, can we just say, like, total sidebar?
That was so creepy.
That is definitely not someone who's innocent says something like that.
No. It's like, I have all of the apparatuses required to grind up a human body, but I didn't use it for that.
Yeah. I have a meat grinder and hydrochloric acid and wipes and a hazmat suit and a big sterile room and an operating room and scalpels and operation tools. And it's like, you did it.
Ma'am.
We're just at your door.
Yeah. So you don't want Girl Guide cookies?
Hey, I was just wondering if you wanted some Cutco knives. Like.
Yikes! Oh, right. Encyclopedia Britannica, that away.
No kidding.
But yeah, no. We're growing and changing. And changing and growing. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a good thing.
Yeah, so we were going to say all this at the end of the podcast, but now I guess we won't because we just said it at the front of the podcast.
Whatever. We'll
what are we talking about?
Today we were talking about quitting. Because that's what we're doing.
Yes. Quitting forever.
Yeah, actually, why don't you you've held the book for like 98% of the podcasts. Yeah. Why don't...
I'm usually the one that holds the book.
Yeah.
And this is my notebook. You have your own notebook.
Yeah.
Your colorful one.
Yeah.
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 Maybe, no, we should do like
Sorry about it.
When we come back to the Chill Spot podcast in many years from now or whatever. We should definitely both hold notebooks.
Yeah.
And could really confuse people.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, who wrote the topic for this one?
Who is in charge this episode?
Because you wrote the topic for this one, but it was in my book, so I get to hold the book. But yeah, Sam. So
you are the man.
Rewind. So guys, at the end of something, when you no longer want to do it, you do something called quitting. And that's what we're talking about today. How to get one more in there.
Yeah.
That's probably my best one, actually, as a matter of fact.
Probably. I set it up for you, but it's whatever.
Okay, so if you want to talk like that. So yes, we're going to talk about quitting.
Yeah.
So Sam, what are your views on quitting? Is it inherently bad?
No. And growing up, I feel like my dad definitely was like he was very big on not quitting.
Same with my parents.
I mean, my parents stayed married about 20 years longer than they should have.
Okay. Who quit now?
They are not quitters. So I definitely got I got it like hammered into me that once you start something, you like see it all the way through.
Yeah.
But then, once you're no longer a child, it's really hard to, stick with that, because like in adult life things are just kind of infinite and you decide when they end because no one can tell you what to do because you're an adult.
Yeah.
So growing up with that mindset, I often find myself sticking with things way longer than I should have in relationships, in hobbies, in jobs. Like I just stick with things way longer than I should because, well, I don't want to quit because quitting is bad.
Yeah.
But quitting is not bad. Sometimes you got to move on. And some things will keep you there for as long as you say that it's okay to keep you there. You have to speak up.
Yeah.
And I'm getting preachy 11 minutes into the episode.
And we actually we went through like 3 different topics for this episode to not get preachy.
I know.
But here we are.
But anyways, you have to say, like, no, this is done in order for it to, come to a natural close.
Yeah.
So I had to learn that. So it took me a really long time. So, I still believe in like really seeing something through and taking your time to make absolutely sure that you want to quit. But quitting is great. Quitting feels so good.
Well, that's the thing. I'll be honest with you. I agree. So my parents really hammered into me as well growing up that I should never quit.
Yeah.
And like I will firmly say that I am not a quitter.
Yeah.
Like I whenever I start something, I do see it through, often at my own expense. That being said, as you grow, like you said, quitting becomes nuanced.
Yeah.
When you're younger, it's black and white. You started something, you should not quit. As you grow older, you realize that like, especially in situations in like jobs or like commitments you make, that not all the time is this in your best interest. And in my opinion, dedication is divorced from quitting. Like I could be dedicated to something and then still quit it because it makes more sense to quit.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So like the way I see it, I don't think quitting is inherently bad. I think that quitting when something gets hard can be bad.
Yeah.
But I think that if something is detrimental to you, then you should quit. Because at the end of the day, you got to look out for yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's what being an adult is. Like you mentioned about like being adult, like I think quitting is actually a part of personal agency.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
you have the right as an individual to quit something if it's no longer serving you.
well, especially just because like okay, I don't want to get preachy or nothing, but like if you work some like dead end fucking office job where you're a number, like don't give a fuck about that. Like quit. Like, who cares?
You're a person. You were never a number. Fucking quit.
Yeah.
Just quit. It did like, if you're working at a job and they kind of like hover it over you that you're replaceable every single day, then let them replace you.
Yeah.
Go do something better for yourself because you are a human being.
And like, listen, I will say, let's acknowledge the elephant in the room that like that's not possible for everyone. Naturally.
Yeah.
We're not like assholes. We're not trying to be like, if you just pull yourself up and apply yourself, like no, life is far more realistic than that.
Of course.
That being said, I do think that there is times when like you really have to look yourself in the mirror and ask like, is what I'm doing worth it? Yeah. You know? Like, I'm a big proponent, especially as an artist. Like, I'm a big proponent of, like, you got to work to get money, obviously. There is no more real fact than that. So, if your work isn't fulfilling your soul and you just need to work to get money, you need to find something that you can at least stand doing.
You have to tolerate,
You know? And the second that becomes intolerable, you got to find another job.
Exactly.
You know? Like, it's worth it to put the time in. And like, listen, I know that this sucks because finding a job is awful.
Yeah.
Like, job searching sucks.
It's so demeaning.
It's time consuming and demeaning. I got a fun little story. I got 15 rejection emails in one day the other day from Indeed. No, Indeed, just from through Indeed. I guess Indeed has this thing, like, maybe they're all posted on the same day, so they all reject on the same day. So I got 15 rejection emails in one day. Yeah. And that is just great. Let me tell you. I definitely didn't feel like
quitting on me before I even started.
A bag of fucking dirt after that.
Yeah.
So believe me, I understand the struggle, and I also get the fear. There's a lot of fear in quitting because you also don't want, no one likes being branded a quitter.
Yeah.
But I think, in my opinion, I'll think you're more of an idiot if you stuck out some job you hate until you fucking killed yourself versus, like, why not just, like, apply this energy of you wanting to quit to find a unilateral job? Yeah. Like, if you're pushing pencils, you can push pencils other places. Yeah. You know?
Exactly. And you can push them for better people.
Exactly.
Because, like, in my experience, because, like, we're kind of leaning towards talking about, like, Joe jobs. Not necessarily like activities or relationships, which is kind of a different, kind of a different bag of worms. But when it comes to jobs, like, it's really the people who you are on the ground with that make the job. So, like, head office can see you as just a number, but if your manager appreciates you and covers for you and does the work so that you can, I don't know, have mental health days when you need them, or doesn't overschedule you and respects your blackout days and doesn't try and, like, do that sneaky bullshit where they schedule you on a day that you permanently have booked off all of the time and tries to, like, you know, undercut you and make you come in on one of those days. Like, if you can find people around you that are immediately around you who are nicer, then, you know, you deserve to find that.
That's worth being loyal for.
Not everybody does that, you know? So if you're working at PetSmart and, like, your manager's a piece of shit, you can go to, like, Costco and
make $16 an hour over there where they actually give a shit about you. You know? Or at the very least, like, my whole thing, like I was just talking about, like, you just gotta weigh the good and the bad. Yeah. Every job's gonna have some shit to it. Yeah. Right? That's completely unavoidable. Right? Always. So you just have to weigh the shit. Yeah. Like, am I getting paid enough to deal with this shit? If so, stick with it. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with being loyal. But if at any point it reaches a point where the scales have been tipped and it's not worth it anymore, what is worth it is you. Yeah. So you need to go out there and find a better life for yourself. Yeah. That's why I always say, like, okay, so, like, we talked about before how I used to work at EB Games, a retail job. I really actually genuinely enjoyed. Worked there for 6 years.
Yeah. Hence why we say the name.
Oh, so I have no problem saying the name. Yeah. It's not even called EB Games anymore. It's all GameStops now. But I had quit that job to focus on my art career. And that, to me, felt like a logical step in my life. And everyone who, when I quit, was super supportive of me. Yeah. And I'm really grateful for that. You know, in that time, I've increased my illustration skills. I found an agent who I really like, you know, did a lot of auditions. You know, we've been stepping up our pussies in Chill Spot. You know, like, we built the studio in that time. Yeah. And we've been the streams have been awesome in that time.
Got an HD camera. You know, started making better content.
Beautiful content. And the shorts are doing shorts. So, like, you know, to tell you all, like, I do need to find work. I need more day work because I don't want to lose all my savings. Yeah. But I think that now I'm in a more comfortable place ever to do something like that. Exactly. I didn't have the confidence level to work and do art at the same time back in the day. But now I do. So I'm really excited for the next chapter. And that's why I don't think quitting is a bad thing.
Absolutely not.
Because you can quit. Okay, listen. We're going to take a small break. And then I'm going to finish this thought.
Okay.
All right, we'll be right back. Do you want to stay updated on everything Chill Spot, from our Twitch stream schedules to posts about new videos? Be sure to follow us on social media at Chill Spot Show on Instagram and Twitter. Back to the podcast. Something I will not miss is this DSLR camera limit. That being said, I'm a big proponent that if you're going to quit something like a job, like a major commitment, have something to replace it with. Yeah. Like, that's my thing. Yeah. So, like, I personally wouldn't recommend quitting your job and free falling.
Yeah.
But, like,
unless you have something you want to do in the interim.
Like me, as a matter of fact. Like I just said. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't think quitting is a bad thing. I think frivolous quitting is bad. Yeah. I think being non-committal and being non-dedicated is bad. Absolutely. But I think if you put eggs in those baskets, if you start something and go, I'm dedicated, I'm committed, I'm here to work, and then shit doesn't work out, in my opinion, you've done what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and, like, sometimes shit doesn't work out. Like, you're allowed to just chalk that up to, you know, life.
Exactly.
It's just life. Like I feel like you can confidently, like you can tell me that happened to you and I'll be like, oh man, I'm really sorry. Because like, it sounds like you really tried. Mm-hmm. And I hope that you figure something out soon so that you can get back up on your feet. Like you deserve it.
Oh, it also...
Not like, I quit because I didn't like it.
I don't like it. I was hard. I don't want to do it anymore. It gave me anxiety. I don't want to do it anymore.
I'm just sitting around.
You know, like, yeah, if you quit and then become a professional bump on a log, then yeah, I might think like maybe you shouldn't have quit. Maybe you could have stuck it out a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Right? Because like I said, there is a certain amount of like toughness you need to have in life and a certain amount of taking it on the chin that you need to have in life.
Yeah.
You know?
But I feel like the narrative around like not being a quitter encourages people to like push their boundaries on that.
Of course, yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't want to quit because my manager yelled at me because then that would make me a quitter. It's like, no, your manager yelled at you. Like, you don't deserve verbal harassment.
No, I want to quit because I wake up and look at the noose that I have ready and think, one day, I'm gonna wrap my rack. I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Like, you understand that that's not what you should think.
I remember at my last job, seriously, there were days where I'd be pushing an order out to a customer and I'd be like, if anybody gives me any kind of hard time, like any kind of hard time, it could be like, your kid is crying and you're telling me to go faster because you want to get out of here, or you're complaining about a substitution that you didn't like. I will simply just stand in the parking lot and scream until an ambulance comes.
Right.
Like until I appear so unwell that they just take me away from this place. Because that is how badly I want to get out of here. And that's how stuck I feel. Mm-hmm. That the only way I can get out of here is to mentally break down.
It's to feign insanity.
Yeah.
Like you literally wanted to be taken away in a straitjacket because you, in your mind, what you had built up is that is the only way to escape from this.
The only way I can get the amount of time off that I needed to properly mentally recoup and go back to work is if I create a mental break. Mm-hmm. And they take me away in a straitjacket.
But you know what?
And then I was like, maybe it's time to quit.
Well, yeah, and not for anything, Sam. Like, listen, I'm not gonna bag on you for this. I'm not going to bag on you for this. But that's a perfect example of the bads outweighing the goods.
Absolutely.
Like you, for a long time, put up with your job at grocery store because you thought that at the end of the day, at least it's like you had truly, honestly gaslit into believing that it would be the same everywhere else.
Yeah.
That is so not true.
Yeah.
Like you could find another minimum wage job where your coworkers don't disrespect you and your manager at the very least doesn't give you a hard time every single day.
Yeah.
You know, and like now you know that. So that's why I'm not going to bag on you.
Yeah.
But like you really put up with that for a long time.
Yeah. I should have quit so much longer ago.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But how about like in the vein of like moving away from jobs, like no one thinks quitting a relationship is bad, especially if you're in the dating phase.
No, you can be as frivolous with quitting relationships as you want. What people need to learn how to quit is friendships that are no longer serving you. For something. Sure. We need to normalize quitting friendships that aren't serving you anymore.
Well, because how much, like, not for anything. Again, I'm going to get off this soapbox. I'm not going to fucking sit here and preach to you. But how many people do you know in your personal life? Because I know lots of people in my personal life who have just stuck it out because they think that that's what you do.
Yeah.
And are easily the most unhappy people you know.
Yeah. Or
I know a lot of people like
even
that.
It doesn't have to be this like emotionally distraught situation. You can just kind of find that over time you both enjoy doing different things.
Yeah.
You know, if your friends enjoy going out to clubs, like seriously, like religiously every weekend, why aren't you going to the club? Why aren't you going to the club? There's a new club in town. Let's hit it up. Let's go. Let's pre-drink. Let's go to the bars. Let's blah, blah, blah. Let's go.
Yeah.
And you're just like hating it, but they're your only friends. So you kind of go along with it and keep doing this thing that you hate.
If you're tolerating your friends, maybe you shouldn't be friends with them.
Don't do that shit. I know it's scary, and like total respect because it's scary, you know, to not really have friends or anything like that. But one of the best things, I think I saw this, I think it was a TikTok actually, or maybe it was an Instagram video, but someone was like, no, really, like how do you make new friends? Like when you're not in school and you're not like working a job where you're going to an office or a place of work regularly, like how do you make friends? And someone like duetted it, like cut and duetted it and was like, seriously, show up at the same place frequently at the same time.
Same roller skate rink, same arcade, same fucking D&D Adventures League night, same board game night, same Magic the Gathering night. These all apply to me. You know, like it's just like
same baseball diamond. I don't fucking know.
You know,
like if you enjoy going to Jays games, like buy nosebleed seats and like sit up there and like it's a whole community up there. Like you'll find friends. Just show up regularly or regularly and you will make new friends. It's entirely possible. Just do the thing that you like and show up at the appropriate arena regularly and you will make friends.
Even if it's the fucking guy behind the counter, you know, like whatever, right?
Yeah. Although be wary of that because people who are working don't always just want to make new friends.
Of course, you know. I mean, you also have to not be socially inept.
Yeah.
That's a big part of making friends is not being socially awkward.
I just feel like that's a fair enough disclaimer.
You know?
Yeah.
But no, I totally agree. Like, and I'll be honest with you, like, in this whole conversation we're about to have, I just really want to say that I respect people who have a hard time quitting.
Yeah.
Because, like, I had a hard time quitting for a long time.
Yeah.
I ruminated about quitting my last job for seriously like a year.
Yeah.
Until it got, too unbearable.
I would like to think that it took me, like, quitting my job because you quit after I did.
Yes.
So it took seeing me seeing what I was doing, trying to write my play and stuff like that to make you see like, oh, this is a thing that I could potentially do as well.
Well, yeah, because, I really took a look at my life and the biggest thing for me was, and it still is to this day, is stability, right? Like, I don't like relying on others in general. It's a problem I'm working on. But I also like financial freedom. And, as important as my art career is, and it is, there are a certain amount of realities in life. So this last year and a bit of like just doing art stuff like continuously has just been good for that, and now I'm very lucky to have the support that I have. And I'm very fortunate to have worked all this time and have this net of which I can not work for a year, you know? But now I'm ready to get going again.
Yeah. It's just, I'm just tired of being broke.
Pretty much.
I am quitting being broke. That's what I'm doing.
There you go. Exactly right.
That's what I'm doing.
But everything in my life, like in terms of quitting, like we're going to bring this in a more general sense. Like whenever I don't have to do something anymore, pretty much even if I like it or dislike it, that feeling is amazing.
Oh, so good.
It's a high.
Oh my God.
It's like a rush of serotonin.
That's the thing that made me realize that quitting was a good thing.
Yeah.
When I realized that I didn't have to do certain things that I didn't like doing anymore.
Yep.
Like, like waking up at 4:00 in the morning to go to work. Like I don't have to do that shit anymore. I probably will have to do it in the future, but for a job that I like. I really don't ever want to have to work a job that requires me to wake up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m. because I simply never get used to it.
And that's fine. I mean,
I did it for 3 years. I will never get used to it.
For me, even quitting, like, bring it down to a micro level is like, even like plans that I was looking forward to, if they get canceled, I might be sad for a minute.
Yeah.
But then have a free evening.
Yeah.
That never happens.
Yeah.
I'm very looking forward to that.
And just like take advantage of it.
I'm going to order a pizza, eat the whole thing, and have a really hard dump later, and go to sleep and wake up in the middle of the night and be like,
But it'll be on a free evening.
It'll
so
be
you have
my
all the time
choice.
in the world.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I will quit sleep to wake up and have explosive diarrhea.
I gave myself a whole day. I gave myself all of Thanksgiving Monday to just like indulge in my hobbies. So I went skating and embroidered and watched TV, like caught up on my shows all in the same day. And I was like, I never could have done this. If I was still working at grocery store. I never could have done this. Thank God I quit. I would have never seen this day.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. On all of my days off at grocery store, I would just sit around and bemoan the fact that I had to go to work the next day probably and like do something else. And I just never really took advantage of the day.
Yeah.
But like now I have all the time in the world to appreciate life.
Yeah.
This has effectively been because you and I both didn't like take a victory lap year in high school or anything like that. So this has effectively been our gap year.
Yeah, you could say that.
That's kind of how I've been viewing it. It's like the year that I took to figure
yourself
shit out.
Yeah, because like
I never did.
I've never felt more focused in my life. You know? Like now I feel like I generally have like, well, because I've had the same thing you were having, right? Where it's like I had the reason why I wanted to quit my old job was because I had a series of epiphanies where it's like all I am doing is living for life between shifts.
Yeah.
And then all I do in that time is like goof off or hang out with friends. And then I have all these ideas that I want to bring to fruition that I am simply not doing.
Yeah.
And a big part of the reason I am not doing them is because I am here and my schedule is all over the place.
Yeah.
And even a job I genuinely really liked was causing me this much distress now.
Yeah.
Like, it got to a point where, like, and like, listen, if my manager or my coworkers hear this, like, I want to know that it was not because of you all at all.
You were at a point in your life.
I had opened one day, and when you open in EB Games, you're by yourself for like the first like 3 hours. And I was like ruminating on this idea that I really wanted to get down. We had started the writers group at this point, and I wanted to do nothing more but to write it.
Yeah.
Like, I could feel like, I don't know if you ever get this, but I felt like my fingertips were on fire. Like, all I wanted to do was just like, I was like, I am like ready to bust.
The cogs are spinning in your head.
Like, I am going to verbally jizz on a page, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I can't. Yeah. And I'm giving my hands blue balls.
Yeah.
And I hate it. And I looked around.
That's assault, you know.
It is assault, exactly. I was assaulting myself. And I looked around this store, this place where I used to genuinely feel like this like really sense of comfort, this sense of stability, this sense of like, this is what I'm working on, and I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
And all of that went like I say, like if it was at like 100, it went to like negative 100. All the things that were making me happy were now like causing me physical pain.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're done.
Yeah.
I need to get out of here. Yeah. Which actually brings us to our next topic, which is, when do you feel as though it's appropriate to quit? Because that was my moment.
Yeah.
When I couldn't fucking take it anymore.
Yeah. For me, it's time off. You know, if I'm spending more time, and you said it before, like living life between shifts. If I'm spending more time just like, you know, saying like, hurry up and relax, you have a shift coming up.
Yeah.
Hurry up and relax. Like, just like, I need you to take these 8 hours and relax as much as possible, because in 8 hours, you have to put on a fucking uniform and go pretend like you like people for, 12 hours? It's time to quit.
Yeah.
You know, like when I start like breaking down my time into chunks between shifts like that, it's time to go.
Yeah,
it's time to leave.
My whole thing, like we were talking about like scales earlier, like this does not apply to my last job at all. It applies to a different job that I had, where I feel as though that like we said, there's a certain amount of toughness, certain amount of blah blah blah, certain amount of unfairness you're gonna have to put up with in life, right?
Yeah.
That's life. I hate to say it, life isn't fair, and I understand that. When I feel as though that I'm being unfair, being treated unfairly more often than fairly, it's a sign to quit.
Yeah.
Like I had a job. I'm not gonna say the company, is a catering job, where I had worked 1 3-day period, practically like 20 hours in a row.
Yeah. You basically had a 72-hour shift.
It was one evening shift that then led to a 6 a.m. shift the next day, and actually went into a I'm not joking, 16-hour shift, where I had to come in at 6 a.m. and I did not leave, nowhere to lie, till 2 a.m. And like, I was told that this wasn't going to be a thing all the time.
And then it was.
And then the next week, I had like a 2-day period where it was like that. Not the 16, that never happened again, I think. Maybe I just blocked it out. Maybe I'm so traumatized, I just couldn't fucking, I don't want to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
But there was another period where like, it was like that again. And then I just thought to myself, like, at this point, I'd rather be broke.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly would rather be broke.
That's the other thing, too, is like when you would rather be broke, when you're like, actually.
Yeah.
Like, let me just say, when I was working at a grocery store, like, you know, the way that things go and like head offices go, like there's this cycle where like you have enough hours and then they cut your hours, and then they cut hours in a different department, so you get your hours back, and then it comes back around and your hours get cut again. Whenever we were in an hours get cut cycle, my coworkers would be like, oh man, this sucks. I can't believe they cut my hours. This is bullshit. I deserve this many hours and I want my hours. I'd be like, guys, if you don't have hours, you don't have to be here. And they were like, but money though. And I was like, are you gonna die? Like, are you absolutely gonna die if you work 25 instead of 35 hours? They were like, yeah, it's 10 hours. I'm like, we are not on the same page.
Right, yeah.
And I think I need to quit.
I'm about to say that.
Because I'd rather not be here and not make money than be here and make money.
That should have been a moment for you where like your whole life goes black and white, and it's like at that moment, Sam knew that she should no longer be in this building. You know, like I feel like you definitely like there are lots of warning signs.
I was genuinely confused. I was like, you guys are insane. But everybody around me was like, oh man, my hours are gonna cut. This sucks. And I was like, you guys are batshit crazy.
But like, you know, in the vein,
go do something.
The vein of scaling, like to get away from jobs. Like, when do you think it's time to like quit a relationship?
A romantic relationship or a friendship?
Either or.
Okay, I think it's time to quit a romantic relationship when your world has become so small that it's mostly just that person.
Interesting.
And I think it's time. I said this before, I think it's time to quit a friendship when you find yourself tolerating them and saying things like, oh, well, but it's this person, so I got to do it for them. More than you actually enjoy time with them.
Yeah.
So if, like if your friends are like, oh, but like, going to a club is important for my friends, so I go. But that's like all you do.
Yeah.
Then it's time to find new friends because you deserve to do activities that you like with people who also like doing those things and like you.
Yeah.
And then, just like romantic relationships, like once that person is your whole world and you have nothing going on outside of them, like, listen, like we spend a lot of time together.
Of course we do.
But I have friends. I do things, not very often because I also work with you. So I wind up spending a lot of time with you because my work is wrapped up in you.
But I have lots of close friends who I spend a lot of time with.
I have people that I see, people that I talk to. But if you find yourself like slowly but surely not talking to your friends as much or even not talking to your family as much anymore, like it's time to maybe re-examine some things. And if the relationship can't change, then it's time to end.
If you're living for the times between you see your partner, you probably don't want to date them anymore.
Yeah.
If you're like, and don't get me wrong, like, listen, not every, like everything in this conversation we're having, not everything is so black and white.
Yeah.
There are parts of a friendship, parts of a relationship, you're going to say to yourself, I just really don't want to be around this person right now.
Yeah, and everybody has different tolerances.
And and there's going to be periods when that happens. And that's not something to be afraid of, I think that all my relationships, including ours and all of my friendships that I have with my friends, have all gotten stronger because I have periods where I go, I really just want to be by myself. I don't necessarily want to talk to this person. But then it always comes back around to wanting to talk to them again.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if that feeling never returns, ask yourself, it's time,
No, I think
it's scary. Yeah. I think it is. I've only been in one other major relationship in my life. And that relationship was sort of like a mutual end. But it was spurred on by something we had both realized. We're like, we had been fighting a lot. Like, everything was turning into a fight. Like, everything was just, like, an argument and, like, and then we had just said to ourselves, like, listen, is this working? And we both said no.
Yeah.
It's nothing to be sad about, honestly.
It's sad, but it's sad because it's so hard.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been in that situation. Unfortunately, it wasn't mutual.
Right, yeah.
I came to that conclusion. I was like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it anymore.
Yeah, if you're getting annoyed by your significant other's texts,
yeah,
like,
for me, it wasn't annoyance. For me, it was the arguing.
Yeah,
we were arguing everything. Like, we couldn't go a day. We couldn't go a full 24 hours without a terrible argument. And I was just like, why am I we weren't even in a relationship. Right. It was more like a flirtationship. And I was like, why am I arguing like I'm in a relationship,
right,
but not getting the benefits of a real relationship?
Right. You're like,
time to stop.
We're not even a real thing, and this should be a fun and sexy thing. Like, we're in like the fun and sexy period of this, and it is not fun or sexy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting none of that. So, it's just when it's not fun anymore. Basically, it's time to quit.
And we're going to quit this section of the podcast. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm quitting. I'm giving up.
Bye.
Goodbye. Have you ever wanted to hear Cameron rant about Sonic the Hedgehog franchise unhinged and uninterrupted? Or do you want to see me play a puzzle in a Nancy Drew video game and struggle with it even though I've definitely played it before? Well, then head on over to twitch.tv/chillspot where we stream 3 times a week for your viewing pleasure and our pain. Back to the podcast. But yeah, just before we finish that thought, I just want to acknowledge that quitting is really scary.
Of course,
I think that's why a lot of people find it hard, because quitting is scary.
I mean, I think we've definitely made that clear.
If you don't have something like laser focused and ready to go, by the time it comes time to quit something, you're kind of just like on the abyss. I mean, quitting brings about change.
Yeah, and change is scary.
That's what makes it so scary.
Well, yeah, because a thing that like I had to contend with, both in relationships and work and commitments, is that like, when you quit something, you realize you don't have to do it anymore. Yeah. Which then means that your life, in terms of scheduling and commitments, is now going to change, like you just said. So there's like an air of like, it's like the Mayan calendar ending. Yeah. Like it feels like there's nothing beyond this. Yeah. Like, what do I do? But I would encourage you all to dip your feet in quitting. Yeah. Quit something you hate. Yeah. Even if it's something small, something like, I don't know, you fucking really don't like going to this person's house for dinner every week anymore. Don't do it anymore.
You don't have to do it.
You know?
Yeah. If you if you don't like the coffee that you're currently drinking, quit buying that brand of coffee.
Exactly. Start
Buy
small.
another brand of coffee.
So we're not saying you to go and quit your fucking job.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe you start small. Maybe like stop buying this brand of cold cuts.
Yeah.
You know?
Which, might I add, feels so good.
Sure.
Making small changes that you have always wanted to make, like, feels so good. When I changed from cotton to satin pillowcases because it was better for my hair, I felt so empowered. And then I was ready to go out and, like, make a big change. I got a fucking facelift. I look completely different before this.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean,
I was white, but no, I'm just kidding.
Got a dark-skinned friend look like Michael Jackson.
Got a light skin. Yeah. But yeah, no, I acknowledge the fact that changing is, or quitting is scary, but a great sort of caveat to that is to quit something small. And see how that makes you feel. Right. You will be surprised at how empowered you feel.
So, speaking of being empowered, we all have the times when we're laying in bed and we think about situations past and we think about things that we do differently. A lot of people, and myself included, likely go into weird power fantasies where they think about like the situation going the best it's ever gone. And like you get to live in that sort of feeling of serotonin right before you fall asleep, lulling yourself to sleep, right? Yeah. What's a moment when you think back on one of your previous jobs, situations, relationships, whatever, where you feel as like you would have been justified in making a big fucking show of it and quitting? And what would that look like?
I mean, what I wanted to do, what I had always dreamed of doing since before the pandemic hit with that job, was to just barge in and just tell everybody exactly. I had a note in my phone about everything that's wrong about insert company name here. And I was going to just list it off. I was going to have a fucking Aaron Brockovich moment.
You got like the mic?
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. I was going to pick up the pager and be like, attention, customers. This is exactly why I'm leaving. You should all know it's that you never come back here again. And in my fantasy, everybody would get on board with it. Right. And they'd be like, fuck this place, and like leave, and then
let's go shop at Walmart.
Exactly, and then that giant store would go empty immediately, and I would single-handedly shut it down, and the people who treated me like shit would be out of a job, and they'd be on their ass on the curb begging for change, with next to the people that they had previously kicked out of the store for begging for change. Right. That was my fantasy. And again, this is a fantasy. My fantasy was to make it known that everybody was shit so that everybody who was shit was poor.
I want to quit my job so hard you go homeless.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's pretty sweet.
I want to ruin your life when I quit.
Right.
And then I would go on to be amazing and successful and beautiful and great.
I'm going to go be a famous movie star.
Meanwhile, you
are poor.
Yeah, okay. Homeless.
Nice.
Miserable.
I had a moment in my catering job where I was so fucking miserable in the middle of a shift, and like, fuck it. My managers, they didn't like me. I didn't like them. And I just didn't appreciate the way that they ran things or how they scheduled things or how they treated their employees. You know, it was just a bad time, like top to bottom, frankly. Yeah. There was at one point where it was already like midnight and my shift was supposed to end like 2 hours ago. And then I was like, we're like, oh, okay, well, it's starting to look like we're going to have to leave. And then they said that we have to polish all of the cutlery. Yeah. Because it's catering. Which, for those who don't know, when you have to polish a big-ass tub of cutlery at the end of the night, it's not one big-ass tub. It's more like 10. Yeah. And that takes, seriously, 2-3 hours. Like, honestly, it takes a long time.
I mean, 2-3 hours for, like, a bunch of cutlery, for that much cutlery, for, like, a major event is a lot.
Oh, yeah. I had, like, and it's, and I kind of kicked myself for this feeling of, like, there was this big window that was like, in like the ballroom where like they would hold events and you could see out into the rest of the place where it was. And I could see my car. And there was, in my life, I've never felt this way again. In my life, I had this compulsion of like, I should just walk out of this door and then never respond to an email again. Yeah. Like, I should just do that. Yeah. I feel like I would have zero regrets doing that. Yeah. And then I didn't, obviously. But in retrospect, I really wish I did. I really wish that I just walked away and then like, I don't even put this job on my resume. No. So like, I really should have just like quit. Left. See, because I'm not like, I'll be honest, I'm the opposite of you, right? Like, I'm not into this like big showy, like, fuck you and here's how I feel. Like, I would much rather have a lasting effect of like, if I was walking out in my fantasy, like the most asshole manager would like stop me. And I would turn and be like, yeah, I quit, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm leaving. He's like, you're quitting? You're really going to quit on us? I'm like, yep.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I want you to think back on this day when you think that you're a good person and remember that you are not.
Isn't that the bet? Like,
and then walk and then just leave.
One of these days I want to say that to somebody, be like,
is that not a cold ass line?
I know that in other areas of your life, you may be seen as a good person. Maybe your wife and kids like you. Maybe your mom is really proud of you. But I want you to know that deep down, you're a shitty person and you will never be good. You are one of the bad ones. And that's all you'll ever be. Yeah. There's no hope.
You're going to make a sick Reddit post later. Yeah. Asshole.
I think that actually devalues.
Do you have any idea the upvotes I'm going to get on this fucking post?
I'm going to get coin for this. Do you understand me? I'm going to get gold.
Reddit fucking gold.
Reddit fucking gold.
I'm going to be subscribed to r/lounge for weeks, motherfucker. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
But no, I think that it's actually more impactful just to fucking quit. Yeah. Like seriously, if I lived out this fantasy and I just left and went home and stopped replying to emails, that to me, if I was a manager, would speak volumes.
You think that says enough?
Well, because I am so sick of this place that I don't think I even owe you the respect of quitting.
Yeah.
Call me cowardly if you want. Sure.
Yeah. See, for me...
whatever. I don't care.
For me, first of all, like, my favorite thing about when I quit the grocery store was that so before I decided to quit, I got accepted into the Toronto Fringe's tent program.
Yeah.
So I already had, like, the 4 weeks or whatever, like 2 weeks booked off for the program.
Yeah.
When I quit, the 2 weeks notice bled into the beginning of the time off that I already had booked. So I only had to do 1 week.
Yeah, there you go.
So I got to quit my job and then say, hey, I have shit going on, actually. So my last day is this day, but it's already a day that I have booked off. So my last day is technically a week before then.
Fucking bye.
Yeah. Later, losers.
What's the shittiest way you quit a job? Like for me, like, okay, I'm big on respect, as anyone who's listened to 115 episodes of this podcast. I think that everyone deserves a baseline of respect. For me, you have to lose respect.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for me, you do not have to earn my respect. I already respect you.
Right.
But you could lose it.
Right. Right.
So, baseline, I respect everybody.
It's like, quick side note, there are some pageants where you start, like beauty pageants, where you start out with 100 and then, like, as you make mistakes, they kind of tick down notes. That's kind of how you work?
Yeah. I'm a judge at a pageant, right? And everything you do, I'm judging
exactly.
you.
If your lipstick is a little smudged, that's 0.5 points
That's pretty fucking shitty.
Yeah.
Of course not. I just believe that everyone deserves a baseline around of respect. Okay. And I think that a lot of people don't do that, and I think that's why a lot of people are assholes. Anyway, the one job I had the least amount of respect for, like this job that I was just talking about, this like catering gig that I was doing, I actually had another job lined up. It was EB Games, which is why I quit. Basically there was time off where I was told like, oh, you're not going to work for 2 weeks because we have no work for you. And at the end of that 2 weeks, I was like, hey, so don't schedule me anymore because I have another job.
Yeah, I'm not coming back.
And of course the manager who was kind of cold to me, kind of warmed up to me a little bit, was like, oh, well, if you ever want to come back, right? Like, it was very cool. But then I got, like, scheduling emails. I never got scheduled, but I still got, like, scheduling emails for, like, 3 weeks after that. And I actually had to be, like, stop messaging. Like, honestly, I was like, I don't work here anymore. Like, please stop emailing me. And I never got an email again after that.
That must have felt so sweet.
A little bit. Because I didn't even put, like, dash cam, It was just, like, stop emailing me. But no, the job before that, I had a lot of bad jobs in a row. The job before that was the job that you and I mutually had.
Yeah.
Ice cream parlor.
Yes.
The one that you roped me into and then quit immediately and was like, ha ha ha, and like ran away.
You say that, but that's not how that fucking works.
It's kind of how it works.
When I got you that job, I was not at the bad mental place that I was at when I quit that job. It's sort of just like mudslided into it as you were there.
Sure. Anyway, I quit that job through an email.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what they deserve.
Well, because
having known those people.
I remember I texted my mother. I was like, how old were we then? Maybe just 20?
Yeah.
Like 19,
freshly
20? Yeah, like just 20 years old.
Yeah.
I had worked there for like a year at this point. A year and a half.
Yeah, you stuck around way longer than I did.
I worked there for quite a while.
Yeah. I did it
and
for like a summer.
And believe me, like I said earlier, I'm the kind of person that if I'm going to be on the clock, I'm on the fucking clock.
Yeah.
I don't slouch at work. I don't think there's any point to do that.
Well, you did. You sat in the back a lot.
Because I fucking hated my job.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, I always got all my tasks done. Mm-hmm. I never sat down until my tasks are done. Mm-hmm. But once they're done, fuck off.
Sit in time.
I don't need no work.
Sit in time.
I did my job. Now leave me alone. You know, but I'm a team player, so naturally I don't want to, you know, put people out to fucking pasture and shit. Of course. But I texted my mother. I was like, hey, Mom, I'll be honest with you. This job is killing me. And I sometimes sit in my car outside of work 2 minutes before my shift is supposed to start and heavily debate just going home. Yeah. You know? I put it a bit more eloquently than that. I was like talking about I was having mental health problems at the time. So it was like definitely not healthy for me to keep doing this job that I really did not like. Yeah. And Mom, being the best mom ever, was very supportive. Mm-hmm. I had a plan to go in and say, hey, I just want to let you know, here's my 2 weeks. That devolved into me saying I should just email them 2 weeks. And that devolved to me just emailing them that I quit.
Sending them an email?
I didn't even give them 2 weeks.
Wow.
I was like, oh, you know what? I did give them 2 weeks. But then they asked me if I wanted to work that 2 weeks, and I was like, no. I don't.
Well, that's okay. You never told me that. Well, if you give somebody the option, of course they're going to say no, because then you gave 2 weeks. You did the good employee thing, but then you don't actually have to work the 2 fucking weeks.
Yeah, but I still haven't seen my manager's face since.
Yeah, no,
you know?
Fuck it. Fuck it. Of course you haven't. You have no reason to, like, we never run into them outside of work.
Of course
like,
not.
They
probably don't even live in the area anymore.
They live in different cities. Yeah. One of them doesn't even work for the company anymore. Like, excuse me. Don't give you the out then. That was her. Oh man, you got the best possible situation. Mm-hmm. Do you want to work that 2 weeks? Never say that. Yeah. Never say that. That 2 weeks is so that you can find a replacement while that person is still there. Yeah. Yeah. That's what the 2 weeks is for. Why would you ever say, do you want to work the 2 weeks? Yeah. They fucked up.
No, I agree.
They fucked up.
No, because my whole thing is, I remember I had 2 shifts left and I gave both of them away.
Right.
I was like, I don't fucking do this anymore. Yeah. Like, I'm done. I would much rather be unemployed. Yeah. And let me tell you, I found out unemployment is actually just as bad as being overworked, in my humble opinion. Yeah. I can't sit still for too long. That's a problem I have. And
just having like nothing to do. Although I will say, there was a time when I didn't quit this job. The store closed down.
Oh, yeah.
And
we also shared that job in different cities.
Yeah, at different times. And the store had closed down, and I just kind of took 3 months I was just taking my time finding another job because school was in then. I let go 2 weeks before Christmas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough.
So, like...
Wait, Scrooge McDuck? The fuck?
It was disgusting.
Ebenezer Scrooge?
I found out via instant message from my, like, supervisor. Not even the
manager.
The manager didn't have the cojones to email me and say, hey, I'm so sorry. The store is shutting down. This is how it's going to be. No, it was just like a screenshot of an email that he sent the supervisor. And then she said, it's been really nice working with all of you.
What a piece of garbage.
Oh, it was garbaggio indeed. But I had the Christmas break with no job. So I had like a break. Mm-hmm. Like I had a break, no classes, no job, like a break. And then the semester started up. And I just had time to, like, be a student. Yeah. I went to class. I got assigned homework. I went home and I did that homework. And I had so much more time because I wasn't working, like, 5 to 9. Right, yeah. Which was so sweet. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, you're right. Other than that, unemployment is tough.
Well, of course. But that basically goes back to what we were saying in the beginning, where it's like, if you're going to quit, you have to supplement it with something. For me, at the time, I had nothing to supplement it with. Yeah. I was just being a bump on I was being a piece of shit. Yeah. For like 6 months. Mm-hmm. Just like being a piece of garbage, like eating crap, like fucking off the ground and living in squalor. Right? That I create of my own creation, mind you. Yeah. But that is a long bygone chapter of my life. And
that place was gross.
And you know what? I've lived through it. I've lived through it. Sam. And we're on the other side.
Love
Sam.
You. Love you.
Yeah, I love you too. Do you have any stories of people quitting on you? I have one.
Okay. Yeah, you shoot.
In my first job, I might be cut off by the time here. In my first job ever, it was at a frozen yogurt shop.
Okay.
I had this guy. I don't remember his name at all. At the time, I think it was like 16.
Can I make a suggestion?
What?
Set the scene, and then we'll cut it and make a new clip.
Okay. So, if you can imagine. 16-year-old Cameron, perhaps even 15-year-old Cameron, gets his first job ever. He puts on the bright dumbass shirt and a stupid fucking little hat, and he's got his hair that's way too long, and he does nothing with it. And he goes to his job, and he works with his manager, who is a tall, bald,
Fuck.
Alternative man. No, he's a nice guy.
Okay.
An alternative man with tattoos, a very punky looking guy. In my age, at time, at 16, I thought this guy was an adult. He was probably like 22. I also had another coworker. He was a taller guy as well, a younger guy, a cool, sporty guy. He's really quiet. He was really cool, you know. He always talked with like quick sentences. Yeah, man, no worries, all good.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah.
Until one day, we'll be right back.
Hey everyone, this is Sam here to remind you that we make sketches as well over on our YouTube channel. Do you want to see me do drag? Do you want to see Cam play a video game that's intent to kill him? Well, head on over to our YouTube page and check us out. Back to the podcast.
So this guy, this cool fellow that I was describing before the break, let's call him Christopher.
Okay.
One day I came into work and my manager and Christopher were in the back and I kind of waved to them, and my manager, he usually comes out to greet me and like say hello, and like we had like a little, you know, like a little what's up bro, you know, a little thing. And he didn't this time. He's kind of like, hey man, just a second, I could just stay out there for now. And then Christopher was like at the sink like this. He was like hanging onto the sink like, until eventually I just heard him be like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. Like just like scream, like just like that. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, man. He like banged on the counter a little bit. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Is he okay? He's like, it's fine. It's fine. He's just going to take a little break. That's what I was told. He's going to take a little break. I never saw Christopher again after that.
Okay.
He walked out the back to take a little break and then never came
back.
Yeah.
All right.
I envy that guy. Yeah. I was like, wow, that's awesome. I wish I could quit like that.
That's badass, dude. Yeah.
No, he just had enough.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, and like, listen, the work grind is real, but like it gets to people, especially young people. Like in my mind at the time, like I thought that guy was like an adult.
Yeah.
He's probably like 21.
And he's like dealing with this now.
You know?
Yeah.
Just dealing with the fact that he's got to put on a dumbass yellow shirt and like a black hat and an apron and deal with the fact that people can't even fathom the idea of putting back the spoons where they're supposed to go. You know? That breaks people.
Yeah.
Wears you down.
Oh, it breaks you down. It breaks them down big time.
You know?
Yeah. Let me think here. I guess this is a little bit more sly, but when I had my first job as a teenager, I'll say it, I worked at Party City when I was a teenager.
Oh, wow. Job reveal, finally.
I know.
You're so tight-lipped about it.
I have mostly good memories of the place,
good.
So I feel comfortable about saying it. It's also been 10 years since I worked there.
We're getting a mean email from Party City.
So easy.
Keep my name out your mouth, bitch.
Easy. There was this woman who worked there. Let's say her name was Sasha.
Velour.
And, oh my God.
The drag queen.
Could you imagine? And then the manager's name was Carter. Now
Vince Carter? So you worked with Vince Carter? Did you say you did not just say legendary rapper?
Raptor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said rap.
No.
It's like Vince Carter is not a rapper.
No, Raptor.
Of course, yeah.
No, so Sasha
Velour.
Sasha was an older woman. We had a couple of those. It was like cool, like, you know, multi-generational relationships, like unlikely friendships going down. So I went in the back for my break, and the table that we had to take our breaks at was like right in front of like a really bullshit makeshift manager's office. Okay. It was like a piece of drywall with a bullshit door on it.
Oh, it was like a cubicle. Like it wasn't even.
Yes. If you can imagine, the back room of the Party City I worked at was like one really, 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 really long hallway that looked like one aisle at Costco.
Right,
There's one big Costco aisle, and at the very end was a makeshift cubicle that was the manager's office.
Yeah, he put up some cardboard and was like, fucking paper sign.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Manager's office, no girls allowed. Yeah,
so it's like paper thin. You can hear through this shit, no problem. So I go back to take my break, and I'm just like microwaving my like Michelina's mac and cheese, and I just hear Sasha go, "I can't do it anymore. I can't do it." And I was just like, that's a little weird. It's a little strange. And then I just see Carter like close the door, because the door to the like office was open. And I'm just like minding my own business. I was like, that was weird. Whatever. And then a couple shifts later, I need a shift covered because I had like a rehearsal, or I didn't want to fucking be there, whatever.
Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah.
I had somewhere to be. So I called Sasha and asked her to cover my shift for me. And I'm like, hey, girl, like, I need my 5 to 9 on Thursday cover. Can you pick it up for me? And she was like, sure, yeah, I can do that for you, girlfriend. So I let, like, really, really chummy. And my manager, a couple days later, came up to me, or I was telling him, I was like, hey, like, I can't do Thursday. Sasha's going to cover my shift. And he goes, is she? That's interesting. That's interesting.
Red flags,
yeah,
way up the pole at this point.
Yeah. So I guess what had happened is I learned from a coworker later after we had both quit. We were gossiping about this person.
Right.
Sasha had demanded that she not work evening shifts because
she couldn't do it anymore.
She couldn't handle it.
Right.
She didn't like working the late night shift. She was an older lady. She didn't like working late at night, going home in the dark and all that shit.
It's fair.
So, she just demanded that a Party City, it wasn't like a huge chain store. You couldn't like make demands for availability. You took the shifts that you were handed.
Yeah.
But she demanded that she not work evening shifts. So the manager was like, all right, fine. You made such a stink about it. Like,
right.
Sasha doesn't work evening shifts.
She was like,
anymore.
I can't do it anymore. And a bunch of roses fell out of her wig. And then Carter got up and broke her ankles. Like, put a ball through her legs.
Carter went on to win All-Stars 5. Yeah.
No, Carter's the basketball player.
Oh, sorry. Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
God, pay attention.
Sorry. So, I tell Carter that, Sasha's going to cover my shift. He's like, interesting. And then a couple weeks later, I kind of look around and I realize that I haven't seen Sasha in a really long time. And I'm working at the balloon counter and I'm like tying a balloon. And my boss comes up to me and he starts blowing up the balloon next to me. He didn't have to, but he just did.
He just picked up some fuck
he
with his hands a little bit. He just picked up a balloon,
like stuck it on the helium, blew it up, and tied it up. And he goes, so, he's blowing up balloons at this point. He's like, I'm Carter at this point.
How coy.
He's like, so, Sasha is no longer employed here. And if you see her on the premises of the store, you are to call the police and have her escorted out of the store. And then he put the
police.
Yeah, and then he put the balloon down, and I was like holding a balloon, and I was like,
do I have to work my shift on Wednesday?
Okay. Yeah. No, this was after she covered the shift for me.
Okay, sure.
And I kind of looked. I was like, okay, and he was like, okay. And then he let the balloon go and like walked away and like didn't finish up the bouquet that he had started. And I was like, oh my fucking God.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Oh my God.
Did you ever find out what happened?
From what I can piece together from gossip that I heard after the fact, was that she just, and might I say, Carter had a flair for the dramatic.
Okay.
Carter was an interesting character. He was mysterious and didn't talk about his personal life that much, but from what I learned from gossip, he was a young gay man who was in a relationship with an older gay man.
And a legendary raptor.
Who paid for everything, and this job was kind of just like a
way to fill his days.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know, a tax break or something. I don't know. And he had a flair for the dramatic where he didn't necessarily need to. So I guess what happened was that Sasha made a huge deal about like not working evening shifts anymore. And when she covered for me, it showed that she could, in fact, work evening shifts. She just didn't want to. And Carter called her out on her bullshit. They probably had another fight. And then he fired her, or she quit, and banned her from the premises.
You don't really have the right to do that, though. Unless she has, like that's why, okay, so
But he thought that she was, like, insane because she lied about what she could do.
Right, okay. How old was Vince Carter at this time?
I would say, like, mid to late 20s at the time.
So, yeah.
Like, 26, 27. Probably my age now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in retrospect, just a little dramatic.
Yeah.
He had a fair,
a little unnecessary.
Yeah, a little unnecessary.
But that was like hilarious. My first, like, ever, like, whoa.
I really wonder, like,
she didn't just quit. She quit.
Yeah. I want to imagine she like pushed over like the giant fucking costume shelves and all like dominoed over. And she was like, I will destroy Party City, and like that's why she's not allowed back anymore.
They like almost killed him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She like stuck his ass in like the helium machine. And he was like, no!
Oh my God.
Sorry, everybody's ears.
Oh man, that's so funny.
All right, Sam, how about before we wrap this podcast, I got one more thing I want to say. What is something you will never quit?
I mean, like, I put so many eggs in this basket. I can't stop working in the arts.
I was gonna say.
I also can't think of anything else that I am able to do, that I'm qualified to do.
Yeah.
You know, there was an episode where we talked about what we would be doing if we hadn't, you know, pursued the avenues that we pursued. But I certainly don't have the qualifications or the, you know, the time spent perfecting being good at any one thing.
Yeah.
To do anything else. I will never quit, I guess, acting.
Yeah.
Or maybe if I do quit acting, you know, I'll always be a writer or a producer or a director or a something or a casting agent, something in the entertainment industry.
Basically, yeah, I'm very much the same. I'll always find a way to put out my creative energy.
Yeah.
You know, even if that's just streaming or just illustration or character design or like you said, like just doing the sketches or like whatever. Like, you know, I've come to peace with a few things in the past couple years of my life, the last like 6-7 years of my life, where it's like, I really don't, I would love to have a career where my art supports me, obviously. Like that's certainly the goal. But at the same time, if I was working a job where I was just creating and the people who saw my art liked it and like enjoyed it and I got fulfillment from the idea that I am still creating and putting things out there, that is really enough for me.
Yeah.
I don't need to be the most famous person in the world, you know? But what I do need to do is prioritize my time, which is why we're not doing stuff like this anymore. Yeah.
No, if we want to take what we do to the heights that we want to take it to, then we got to focus.
Exactly.
We got to focus up. And that's just, you know, and when you focus up like that, some things just have to kind of fall away to the wayside.
And when one book closes, another one opens. And that is what the message of today's podcast is. Even when you quit, don't consider it the end of the thing you're doing. Well, even if it is, consider it the beginning of something else.
Quitting leads to change, and I think change is inherently good.
Ultimately good, yes. I think that change, even the worst changes in the world, you will still find that one day you're alive.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Talking like the Chill Spot podcast, like we're going to have a whole lot of fucking teary-eyed, goddamn misty-eyed motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I'm going to get an angry text message from a certain person.
From a certain Bradley.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But no, I guess thank you for listening to the podcast all of these years.
2 years.
2 years, yeah, all these years. And it's been really fun. Again, like the Chill Spot podcast, it got me comfortable in front of a camera, it got me comfortable in front of a microphone, it taught me how to edit. It was my first foray into that. It gave me so much. And at the best thing, you know, people listened to this podcast that I never expected to listen to this podcast. So it had reach. And I'm really, really glad that we did it.
Absolutely.
And I'm really glad that we did it to a point where it can lead to something else. We're not, you know, we were 20-somethings with a podcast, and we're not quitting that podcast because we didn't want to do it anymore. We're quitting it because we found something else that we found. It led to the next chapter. Yeah, and I can't think of any better ending for a podcast.
100%.
It's the best.
Yeah, I have no regrets about ending the podcast because, you know, we're going to be focusing a lot. The reason why, as I said at the beginning of the episode, the reason why we are quitting the podcast, quote unquote, quitting the podcast.
Putting it on hiatus.
Putting it on hiatus is because we want to focus on the things that we've been really enjoying, which is the streams and the sketches.
Yeah.
We want to get more sketches out to you guys. We want to get more streaming ideas out to you guys.
And we want to try growing it bigger. We want to do bigger things.
And we have some other bigger things you mentioned, you know, stuff with the shorts and the web series and all that now in the pipeline. That's a bit of a ways off, but it is on the way.
Yeah.
You know? So this is not a goodbye. It is merely a see you later.
Chill Spot is still alive. The podcast isn't happening for a while, but Chill Spot is still very much alive.
Very
we hope
much
that you
so.
Stick around and check out the other projects that we have coming out your way.
If you thought this is the end of me bothering you to watch my things,
never.
This is not the end.
Never.
Ever.
If I'm not quitting the performing arts, there will literally never be an end to things that I ask you to watch.
There you go.
Yeah.
But there are 115 episodes of this podcast, and if you're listening to the most recent one, you can always start over at the beginning.
There you go.
And go on a whole journey with us. And you know what, guys? I am saying it right now. This is not the official end. There will be a 116th episode of the Chill Spot podcast.
Someday.
It's just not going to happen weekly. For a little while, anyway.
Yeah.
But like Sam said, thank you so much, guys, for listening to this episode of the Chill Spot podcast.
Thank you for all of your love and support.
Yes.
Yeah.
If this was a surprise to you, I'm sorry. There is more on the way, and this is not the last you've seen of Cam and Sam. Never. Even in podcast form, like you said. There's definitely more podcasts on the way.
Totally.
Just not this one.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good day, and start off at episode 1 again.
Stay safe.
See you later. Bye.